The Republicans would have you believe that their concern about this impeachment is a genuine concern about the process. It's about transparency and access, that it's being done in secret, that people are leaking things selectively, and they just want to be in the room and know what's being said. And Nancy Pelosi, who one Fox guest described as the high priestess of a cult that is conducting a secret ritual of impeachment, that's literally what they said, that she just won't let them in the room, and that's all they want. But there's a problem with that, and that problem is Ted Yoho, a Republican congressman who is allowed to be in those rooms, but decided to go on CNN instead and quickly grew to regret that decision.
Then why is it legitimate for you to slam an inquiry and slam testimony when you have the opportunity to be in the room for all of it? You are not taking that opportunity. I understand you have other important responsibilities, but respectfully, Congressman, as glad as I am that you're on this show, you don't need to be on this show. You could be in there.
Like I said, I've got my questions written down for him.
Deposing Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. Who is asking them? I ask who's asking them because your staff told us 30 minutes ago they didn't even know about the testimony.
No, they know about the testimony. I mean, we've talked about it all week long.
Well, then why did they tell Poppy Harlow that they didn't know about it? And she is, look, I don't have any kids, but I was a kid once, and that's how like a very patient, understanding mom talks to a kind of dumb kid. Like trying to like I'm glad that you're here, it's great, you're the best. But you could be in that room right now. And you said that you wrote down questions, but who's asking them? Because you're not in there. You're talking to me right now. You can't do both at once.
It's gotten to a point where you can't, again, I guess going with the kid analogy, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be like, hey, you know how dumb this is?
She was trying to be nice.
Yeah, you have to go, okay, so let me give you the scenarios. Let me give you A and B, what you could be doing versus what you are doing. And do you understand that this doesn't match up with the talking points that you were given by your party, and now they're making you look stupid on TV?
Yeah.
How is it they haven't planned this out yet? They've been complaining about how President Trump needs to get a better person to coordinate his impeachment defense because he's screwing up, which is, of course, his response was, I don't need any defense, I'm the defense. We've already figured that out.
Please stick with that.
It's working out well. So now when they've coordinated some kind of defense, which is, let's not talk about the substance, instead let's talk about the process and make up what the process is, you know people are gonna be watching what you do. They're gonna see that you say, hey, we can't get in the hearings, and if you make this big spectacle as they did last week, let's go into the hearings, they're gonna start watching to see if you're going into the hearings.
Including by a number of individuals who are allowed in the hearings, but chose to go to the protest instead. And so Yoho could be in there right now, he chooses not to. You said there that they're not gonna focus on the substance, they're gonna focus on the process. That, by the way, includes his questions. So Poppy Harlow has a follow-up and wants to know what questions he would be asking if he was actually doing his job rather than doing a media hit. And he's gonna give you an idea of how seriously he takes what's been revealed.
I plan to go in there. I've got my questions written for him. You know, why was he worried? Was anybody else on the call worried? Did they express the same thing? When did he give his concerns? When did he make that publicly known? Was that written down in a record other than his testimony? When was that submitted? And so those are questions that I wanted to come out.
Okay, so when and how and where were you and what were you eating when you said that? And what kind of jacket did you have on? Did you say it to 2 people? Did you say it to 3? Who else was on? Like, okay, yes, that's all fine, and I'm sure he talked about that stuff, obviously. But the content of whether the president was pushing a foreign country to investigate his domestic rivals so that they could get needed military aid, that seems more important to me. It seems a little bit more relevant. But again, it's all process. It's, did you follow the way that you're supposed to? Did you submit it in triplicate? Did you fill out your TPS report? Like that's what all of his questions effectively are.
That's what and again, I've said it before, and I'm not the only person who said it. This president is exposing the Republican Party for the frauds, their susceptibility to a strong man, a dictator, than anyone else could have done. All the times that people said in the past, how exclusionary this party is, how they kowtow to the rich, they giveaways and all this stuff, and they actually demean everyone else. They had a way of kind of covering and hiding it. he's exposing it all. Or just where they talk about patriotism and we don't want this when Obama was in office and he's in there trying to take over the country and the world and tell us what to do. It's all right in front of us that the person who's doing it and that you're the one who's supporting it, it's right in front of us, and that your policies are based in nothing.
Yeah.
So their love for the country is only based in their love for the party.
Yeah.
If you actually cared about the stuff, you'd be in there trying to fix it right now.
Exactly, and so he's not in the room, and he's not interested in going to these things. He hasn't been going to them. They also say, though, what we don't like is we don't know what's being said. Now, true, you could be there and then you'd know, but that it's important that we have an idea of what is said and not just rely on selective leaks. And so while it might have seemed like he was sort of falling apart in not going, this next section is worse for him. So Poppy Harlow, I show this, by the way, not to show her sort of systematically dismantling his defense of the president, but because if you're a conservative or a Republican or whatever, and you have bought some of their argument, you need to watch this and understand that they don't care enough about this defense that they're lodging for the president to even read a little bit of text. So he hasn't been in the room. Has he actually read the testimony that he says everyone desperately needs to read? Let's find out.
So you are going to this deposition after you're off the air with us, is that right?
As soon as I'm off the air, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and this will be the first one that you attend in the inquiry.
It'll be the first one, but we've been very engaged in what's going on in this whole vote that Ms. Pelosi is bringing up. And I'm glad she's bringing it up, but it's not an official impeachment inquiry. It's a vote to okay the process that they're going through and the transparency.
All members of the committees, so you're one of them, are allowed to read the transcripts of these depositions as they've been happening.
Right.
Have you done that?
We've read the summary of Volker's, and there was one other one we did.
The summary, or you've gone actually to read the full
just
transcript?
the summary of them, the summaries of them. And
Why?
going back to,
I get
again,
you're an important member of an important committee, and this is an important inquiry, and I'm just confused as to why it seems like you don't think it's been worth the time until today to go or to read them.
So he's been very engaged in it, but he hasn't gone and he read the summaries of one, maybe two of the many depositions that have happened. I mean, if you don't care enough to actually read the testimony that you're saying Nancy Pelosi is potentially breaking the law by not making all that public, but you don't care enough to actually read even all of the summaries, let alone the actual testimony, let alone go to sit in the room, you'll hear it. It'll be a lot easier. If you don't like reading, actually go, you can listen in real time.
Not only was he not prepared for the testimony, which he doesn't want to go to, but he also wasn't prepared for someone to ask him.
Yeah.
How far, I'm sorry, if I'm making some kind of appearance, I get nervous enough to go, I need to prepare myself so that I don't not know what I'm talking about. And if I happen to get to a point where I didn't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna go, damn it, Jerry, you should have prepared yourself. This is a bad position to be in.
Yeah.
There's no shame here. You know, we used to have this thought in the country that our leaders, our elected officials knew more than us. It's being exposed on an hourly basis, how much they don't prepare, how lazy they are. You can't be in 6th grade and not submit a book report.
Yeah.
And then the teacher goes, hey, how come you didn't read the book? You don't go, I don't know, I just kind of skimmed it. You're at least, as a sixth grader, embarrassed enough to go, my dog ate it.
No, but it would be like, why haven't you come to class? Well, okay, yeah, granted, I didn't go to the class, but I've been very engaged in the process. Did you read the books? No, but I read the Spark Notes of all of them. No, one. You're not really engaged in the process. But I do think we found a new defender for the president on TV. I think Ted Yoho is good. It's impressive how he manages to make Rudy Giuliani look prepared for media appearances. Thank you for watching this clip from The Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.